What's up guys, it's Niall from Alternative Review here. Let's face it, if you're watching this video, it's probably because you're intrigued as to why I think WWE 2K20 isn't as bad as people are making out. Now let me just clear something up straight away. The quality of the overall game and the overall experience is far behind WWE 2K19. And it's very obvious, almost from the get-go, that this game had a troubled development. Now, what I can't agree with is just how hard people are hitting this game for its glitches and its bugs. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be defending the writing of the My Career mode or the kind of janky animations, the new control layout, which just as it seemed they were starting to perfect things with WWE 2K19, they just kind of go ahead and change everything. But there is still a lot that, maybe next year can be built on to really nail home what was great about 2K19 and the few good bits about 2K20. So let's get into it. The reason I think 2K20 isn't as bad as people are making out is because, quite frankly, I've seen a lot of videos using the same footage of similar glitches, and I've tried really, really hard to replicate a lot of this stuff in either quick matches or throughout the career mode, and I just cannot get it to happen. Like, I know the game has had updates since. I only purchased it a week ago, but I was just curious because all of this review footage, all of the kind of hot takes on the animation issues, the bug issues, and the glitches, it put me off buying the game. And it's the first wrestling game or annualized wrestling game I've never actually bought day one. We got the warnings that there could be issues, and again, the troubled development cycle with another studio actually finishing the game off for release. It's never a good thing to see. But more than anything, it has to be admired that, a game was released. Yes, maybe it should have had another month or two in the oven to really perfect, but that's the thing with publishers nowadays, is that not often are they willing to give you this time, especially not on an annualized franchise like sports games. Could you imagine FIFA coming out in December or January rather than its kind of standard September date? No. So it was never going to miss its kind of release window, but it is shocking in the state that it came out in. And again, on the flip side, the work that they've done since then, there's been rumors about there's a tiny team working on it. They don't really care. The studio could be gone soon. You wouldn't think that from the amount of changes they've made. I only have experience of the issues through watching videos on YouTube of the major horrible bugs. And they are major. Like, they're practically game breaking and they completely ruin any experience you could possibly have with the game. Now, more importantly, now, yes, a few months after release, the game is entirely playable. I've not encountered one single game-breaking, game-ending kind of quit and restart bug. And I suppose it's kind of a relief. I mean, I only got the game for 20 quid. It's on sale pretty much everywhere, almost constantly at the minute because of the troubles it's had. But you know what? For 20 quid, this ain't a bad experience. I obviously can't speak for those who have spent £50, upwards of £50 if you got a special edition of some kind, and are walking away with the experience that you got on launch day. But for me, as a £20 experience on an annual franchise, which I have, quite a lot of affection for, I'm trying not to view the game through any kind of rose-tinted glasses because there are issues still. But you know what? I've played worse games this year, let alone, the last decade. Like I said, I'm not going to draw too much on the kind of cheesy, horrible nature of the My Career mode, which I was quite optimistic about. This whole, playing as a male and female character, and then it's a kind of a story that will go back and forth a little bit. The second it started, and it kind of started in the middle of the story, and you have that record scratch moment of, hey, how did I get here? And then it goes back. It just doesn't fit. And again, I think that's where some of the criticism comes from, because I mean, my personal characters when I create them, my dude always has a beard like I do. And he had these dreadlocks, and it kind of skips back to when I think they're in high school. and yet he's got this full beard and these dreadlocks, and I don't know, it sounds like they may have altered their voices slightly to make them sound younger, but in truth, it just doesn't work. It's completely out of place. They could have learned from other games that have made a similar mistake trying to take a character and just take it to the past. WWE 2K19 story mode I thought was fantastic. It was a game changer. The showcase mode is decent. That kind of harkens back to, I believe it was WWE 2K16 when they did the kind of Hall of Fame showcases, and that was when Stone Cold Steve Austin was a cover star. People have been clamoring for that kind of content ever since, and I think it's been in pretty much every game ever since. But again, the showcase mode is a nice addition to have there, and I'm slowly giving up on the story mode, the my player mode, so it's nice to have other modes to fall back on other than, say, just having a universe mode and then your straight up match mode. On to the subject of the bugs and glitches, though. I mean, other than a few little texture issues where you might see kind of the skin of a foot through a boot on, say, Adam Cole, or, hair glitching a little bit when someone's thrown into a turnbuckle or being picked up, I can't say I've really experienced anything more than that. What other people have seen, you can't deny it. The video footage is out there, but what I wasn't a fan of was seeing the same footage over and over again. No doubt that some of these glitches had triggers. Like, the game wasn't released in a state where just picking someone up and slamming them, and that was it. That was the end of it. From what I commonly saw in a lot of these videos, it had to be multi-person matches, doing moves near the ropes, or, getting caught in situations where, every competitor was in the ring doing something, caused these bugs to happen. It didn't happen very often in like a one-on-one match. But that's just the kind of state of the internet today, is that they'll find a way to make these things happen and then hammer a product for it. Undoubtedly, it's not excusable for 2K. They shouldn't have been in the game to begin with, and after a few good years of progress, this really is a step back, and this is not how this team and this publisher will want to leave the WWE 2K license. Ever since switching over to 2K, it's been steady improvement year on year. It didn't start off perfect by any means, but we can't be taking such a massive step back now after the improvements that WWE 2K19 made. It was as close to perfection as we've had in the series. And of course, that leaves you with all the hope for the next yearly installment. But in this case, we have taken a massive step back. And even in its fixed state, 2K20 is not a fantastic game. And again, I am kind of speaking as someone who only spent £20 on it, not 30, 40, 50, more if you've got the season pass. So I can understand where all the outrage comes from. But right now, if you've waited, couple of months to pick up this game and you can get it for £20, £30, I think it's worth that much as an experience. You may even get some laughs out of the My Player mode, because the writing is just that bad. The voice acting is that bad. And the acting in general is just, it's B-movie level. I mean, it kind of always has been in wrestling games, but 2K20 really pushes it out there to a point where you kind of think, who is this aimed at? Nevertheless, it was an attempt. It's, I think, 2K's first big failure with the franchise, but we cannot let this failure ruin the entire license's history, because there have been some stunning games since 2K took over the license. And hopefully, fingers crossed, there'll be a 2K21. Hopefully there are people working on it. We don't know right now for sure what lies in the future. But 2K21 needs to happen, because there's no way you can leave 2K20 as the last experience of, a wrestling sim on console. 2K have, in the past dropped licenses because of competition, especially with like the NHL license and the, there was at least a small period where the NBA license, they were getting their asses handed to them by EA. It's obviously not the case anymore. But I wouldn't want to see what happened to the NHL games where another company just kind of bought the license and took over happen here again, where they just drop the license, let anyone and everyone have a go at it, and it's whoever goes to the highest bidder, and we could just have to start back from the beginning again, which was like what WWE for 2K13, I think was the first one, maybe. Um, Either way, we don't want to have to take that far a step back. This studio can bounce back from this. I have that much faith in them at the very, very least. But whatever happened last year, it needs to be a learning experience. Maybe we don't get 2K21. Maybe we push into 2022 and just skip a year. It worked for Assassin's Creed. These yearly franchises can only be churned out so much, and the bubble will burst. One thing we can't do though is just say that's it. We give it to someone else because someone else will do it better. That's just never the answer, and it will just end up back to square one. Okay, guys, that's pretty much all I had to say on the issue. We shouldn't let this outrage culture cloud our vision too much. It's not often I really pay too much attention to it, but now having had a go on the game again, yes, at a lower entry price, I don't think it's that bad. We need to understand that we're going into a new generation soon as well, and things still aren't perfect on this one. We've got to cut somebody some slack. And I think, again, if you can find this at, 20, £30, either digitally or physically, you'll have some fun with it if you're a wrestling fan. If not, I don't know what you'd be doing picking up the games anyway, but there's still some fun to be had here, even if it's at the game's expense, again, with the My Career mode. Once again, guys and girls, thank you very much for tuning in today. Give me a like and subscribe if you like this. If you disagree with anything I've said here, feel free to say so in the comments. I'm all about a healthy argument and discussion. And hopefully I'll be back soon with a new video.